all across North Carolina. They come from all origins and backgrounds, just like you and me. They work on farms, in hotels, shops, in your neighborhood. But when you look closer, you'll see it's not by choice. Human trafficking victims are forced, fooled, or frightened into performing labor or sex acts for money. You can help when you know what to look for.
Hello everybody. The short video clip you just watched is a public service announcement by Project No Rest, which is a North Carolina-based nonprofit organization that works to fight human trafficking as well as help assist victims of human sex trafficking. As you saw in the video, anyone can become a victim of human trafficking. If we educate ourselves on this topic, we could save a friend, a family member, even ourselves from becoming a victim of this frightening industry. Human trafficking is a growing problem in our society, and we're all at risk of becoming victims. Today, I will explain what human trafficking is, then I will discuss who is most at risk of human trafficking, and finally, ways to help end human trafficking. So let's begin by defining what human trafficking is. According to the United Nations, the definition of human trafficking consists of three major elements. Number one, the action of trafficking, which includes transportation, receipt, harboring, transfer of trafficked persons. Number two, the means of trafficking, which include the use or threat of force, coercion, deception, abuse of power from the trafficker's side, or a position of vulnerability on the victim's side as well. And number three, the purpose of trafficking, which is always exploitation. This can come in many forms: sexual exploitation, slavery, forced labor, or organ removal. Safe Horizon, which is the leading victim assisting organization in the US, has compiled a list of tactics used by traffickers to subject their victims. Some of these tactics being the luring of their victims with false promises. Most of the time, human trafficking victims come from the lower class, so they are searching for better working conditions and better wages. Number two, oftentimes traffickers will relocate their victims so that the victim cannot escape. And once they are relocated, traffickers will withhold identification, work authorization, or travel documents so that the victim cannot escape or identify themselves. Also, traffickers will oftentimes threaten to hurt the victim or his or her family. This usually happens once the victim has realized that they are being trafficked and obviously tries to flee the situation. Victims are also often forced to live in very unsafe conditions. These are houses with no running water, no electricity, no heat, and very small spaces with a large number of people. We're talking 10 to 15 people per bedroom. Also, victims are not allowed to socialize on their own, and they are coached. They are coached on how to respond if they are ever questioned by anyone, especially law enforcement officials. So now that I've explained what human trafficking is, let's discuss what individuals are at a higher risk of becoming victims of human trafficking. The National Human Trafficking Hotline estimates between 30 to 40 million victims of human trafficking worldwide, with thousands being in the United States. Globally, 20% of human trafficking victims are children. Why is this? The most obvious being that children are very small, so they're very easy to take captive. Also, they cannot consent. Not that their consent ever meant anything, but they don't have a say because they are children, so traffickers can usually pass as their parents. And also, children are very easy to lure with false promises. Our second group is women. Around 51% of global trafficking victims are women, and there's contributing factors to this statistic. One being poverty. Oftentimes, especially if they are single mothers, they will fall into poverty. And a major factor is gender discrimination. As we all know, women aren't given the same opportunities as men, and we aren't paid as much, which often results in women working underpaid jobs. And our third group is immigrants. Immigrants are already fleeing their native countries due to poverty, lack of job opportunities, violence, or prosecution. And traffickers take advantage of the situation. They promise these immigrants well-paying jobs, a place to stay, and a brighter future once they get to their destination. And these people often fall for these promises. So, having discussed who's at a higher risk of becoming a victim of trafficking, let me introduce you to some ways we can help end trafficking. So, first, know the warning signs. Trafficking victims usually have the inability to speak alone. They can't talk to anybody without supervision. They're always accompanied. Their answers to any questions seem to be rehearsed and scripted. They always know what to say, exactly when to say it. The most obvious are signs of physical abuse. Is there any bruise or injury in a very strange place on their bodies and it goes unexplained when you ask? They also are very submissive and fearful at all times. They always seem to be on edge. 2, be an informed consumer. Find out who made the clothes you're wearing and who cooked the meal you're eating. Are the companies you're giving your money to treating their employees fairly, paying them fair wages, and providing safe working conditions? Number 3, raise awareness. We're all on social media, so use your platforms to raise awareness and spread information about human trafficking. Use hashtags like end trafficking to send that message to a greater number of people. In conclusion, we can eradicate human trafficking by staying informed and raising our voices for those who can't. Today, we discussed what human trafficking is, who is at most risk of becoming a victim, and the steps we can take to put an end to it. It is crucial that we, as citizens, not just of this country but the world, work together and stay informed so that we can put an end to human trafficking. Remember, stay alert and stay informed because you could save a life today. Thank you.